All right. Beautiful. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us at Thought Leader Thursday TLT. We have a marvelous, marvelous speaker, as you obviously all know since you're here. But we'll wait to introduce him. So right now, I'd like to know, is there anyone that would like to do a short treatment for us before we begin? If no one raised their hands, I will just call on someone. But is there anyone that'd like to volunteer? I can't actually see everybody, so maybe you speak your name out if you want to do it.
Yeah, Rita said yes.
Who did? Rita?
Rita.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rita.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're ready. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
So let's just all take a deep, deep breath together and just bring our attention right here, right now, and nowhere else. We are here together in this circle of perfect, perfect source energy, perfect love, perfect God. We are here. We are here together to enjoy this amazing new book, to enjoy this beautiful conversation with Bill, and to know that everything, and I mean everything, unfolds from the highest, highest, highest consciousness. I am so grateful to be here for each and every one of us, for the perfect unfolding of this time. And I am just letting it be, and knowing that it does unfold from that highest place perfectly for each of us. We receive and give exactly what is ours to give and receive. And I bless it and I let it be so, as we affirm together.
And
And so
so
it
it
is.
is. Thank you so much, Rita. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Again, welcome everyone. It's so great to see your faces here. I'm excited about having Bill. I love, well, everyone I'm sure here knows him and works with him, and he's just so amazing with what he knows from a spiritual perspective as well as from a technical perspective. So I'm really glad to have him here to talk about his inspiring words today. Just want to remind you that he'll be talking for about 20, 25 minutes. And then I'll open it up for, or maybe even longer, but then when he's finished with his setting it up, then I will open the gallery up for questions. So if you could just hold your questions until we open it for questions, that'd be great. So let me just tell you a little bit about Bill that you may or may not know. He is the co-founder and the spiritual director of New Thought Philly or Philadelphia, and leads daily meditations in the Philly Spiritual Adventures group on Meetup. I received his ministerial credentials in 2011 and was ordained in 2019, and he received his Doctor of Divinity from Emerson in 2021. He offers spiritual coaching and counseling and all of that. He is the author of Practical Prayer for Real Results. And so we can expect to get a copy of that. That was something we talked about. That is wonderful. So all of you that are on here today will get a copy of that. So that's marvelous. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to go on. There's a whole bunch here, but I'm just not going to keep going on. He is here today to talk with us um, about finding inspiration everywhere. And I was looking at his bio and he said, you're in water. I was like, really? I want to hear about that. So just where we find inspiration. Thank you so much for being here. And the floor is yours, Bill.
Well, thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Pjae. It is wonderful to be here, and wonderful to see all these folks here. And this is just ever so slightly self-interested, as why I'm doing the Inspiration Everywhere conversation today, and that is because this week is the introduction of my new book, which is Daily Spark. And this is based on a program that I've been running, I think, for about 12 years now, which is called God Calls. And God Call started out as a my mastermind prayer group. Basically, the people in the group would periodically just call one another and just, say, "You are a bright light of God's love. I'm so grateful to have your light shining in the world. You are a blessing." And the protocol was you don't respond. You don't say thank you or back at you or anything. You can say thank you, but there's no business, and it's just a really quick call. It goes to voicemail. And then um, as I went through my ministerial training, I realized that I had the ability in a very short format to turn stuff into a spiritual metaphor or a metaphysical metaphor. So I started recording God calls, which were about a half a minute. They all come out at about a half a minute, which is really interesting because I spent as much time as I did on the radio, and so I'm really good at doing 30s and 60s. So they're half a minute, and I used a voice broadcast service, and people subscribe to it. So 4 times a week at a random time, you get a God call. And the God calls, they're well over 1,000 in the library now. So I took a bunch of them and transcribed them, and we rewrote it so that it's a book. And Daily Spark is the page-a-day book that's based on the God calls. And it just launched this week. It's on Amazon, paperback or Kindle. I encourage you to get a copy. I'll talk a little more about that. And each of the entries is just a God call. So I'm going to read the one from April 4th, which is called Daily Metaphors. There's so many metaphors in our daily lives about the rich spiritual life that we're leading. Take a kitchen appliance, a coffee pot, for example. You can put in the coffee grounds, put in the water, press the button, and get a wonderful, hot, rich cup of coffee. If you don't have it connected to the power, nothing happens. That's the metaphor. You can create many, many things in your life, but if you're not connected, the effort goes for naught. Remember to turn towards the source of your power and open to your good. That's an example of a God call and also a daily spark. And it turns out that just like the Sunday talk that people show up for, after the celebration, people will invariably walk up to whoever did the talk and say, "That was exactly what I needed to hear today." And the same thing happens with God calls. And because it's a phone call, it goes to voicemail. And sometimes the message that they needed to hear is a week and a half later when they get around to listening to the recording. So the same thing applies, and you've had page-a-day books, or you've gone through the bookstore and a book has leaped off the shelf at you, and it's just the right one. So Daily Spark is kind of designed to work exactly the same way, to make those messages available when you become available to the message. And I kind of found out through all of the studies and training and stuff that I've done, and I think I'm on my 10th or 11th career, in technology, in the printing business, in broadcasting, engineering, all sorts of stuff, now ministry. I keep on having these skill sets, and I find that there's something that I'm particularly good at in one or the other of them. Oh, and sometimes they come back around because it turns out that as I was preparing the book, all of my experience in the printing and digital publishing business turned out to be really helpful. So and it's always, well, I'm not going to say always, it is often not clear to us what our superpower is because we've always had it and it's always been there. And the objective is to identify what that gift is that you have and then be able to put it to use and make it something that will either serve you or your family or your loved ones or the world in some way that brings some uplift along. And this being able to look at an everyday object and see the spiritual metaphor in it, turns out, is one of mine. I guess also doing 30 seconds at a time is another one of my gifts. And I didn't really know that I could do that until I was in ministry class. And it was one of the lessons that we were doing on how to give a talk. And the assignment was, okay, look around the room that we're in, find something, and then in 5 minutes, you're going to do a 2-minute talk about it. And my classmates were like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" And I looked, we were in somebody's borrowed house, and they were evaluating new colors of paint. So there's big swatches of paint on the wall over the couch. And I said, I'll just do a talk about that. And did a lovely little 2-minute talk about how we're always a choice. And we are able to create something new in our experience. And it was like, that was easy. It was like a little button over at Staples. That was easy. And that's what grew into God Calls, because it turns out that I'm pretty good at doing that. It also turns out along the way that I'm pretty good at listening to people's stories and doing that practitioner thing of hearing the story, being present for the person who's telling the story, but not buying into the details of the story. Because when somebody's talking about a problem, I understand that that's the experience that they've been having, and the problem is very real for them. And the fact that there's a problem means that there's a solution. I was talking with the co-founder of New Thought Philly yesterday, and he was telling the stories about he's in the AA world, and he's talking to somebody there, and they're describing their experience like it's brand new. And the response there is, if there's a word for it, it's because somebody else has experienced this too. And we can use that to say, oh, all right, I understand that this is a possibility. And I understand the circumstance and the situation that you've been in. And I know that it can get better. So then I'm able to turn to whatever the solution to that is. And sometimes I can use metaphors. I found in the advertising business, people would be talking about selling digital color printing presses, and a lot of times we came up with metaphors that involved cars. And it was very helpful because it got people to think in a way that wasn't limited to the current situation.
Mm.
So that's become a whole piece of what I do in my prayer work and my ministry, and kind of my approach to life is if you're looking at a situation and it's dark and gloomy and shadowy and not happy, then that means that you're looking at the shadow. And usually when we're looking at the shadow, that means that the light is over our shoulder. So we have to pivot. We have to turn around so we can look at the light and have a different experience. So anyway, that's the big thing that I'm about. I'm gonna actually invite the folks who are here at Thought Leader Thursday. If you have a situation that you'd love to hear a metaphor about, then you can either raise your hand and we'll talk about it. It's a possibility we can just put it into the chat and see what that is. The one thing I'm going to ask is that you make it be a real situation, either something that you've experienced or something that somebody you know has experienced, because if we get into hypotheticals, then everybody gets stuck in their head. So, do you have one, PJ?
Um,
No, everything's going great for you.
okay, so I'm sorry. So I'm looking for, what was it? Because I was busy trying to, whatever.
A situation that you'd love to have a metaphor about.
Oh, um,
You
mm,
think for a second,
yeah, I have some, but I
and
was
I'll
trying to
tell you.
figure out if that's what you're looking for. Okay.
So when the lockdowns began 6 years ago, um, I started. My wife said, "You better have a new spiritual practice because it's going to be a while before anybody's going to do something." And so I started doing these online meditations every day, and I'd been doing Zoom meetings for technology purposes for 5 years, so I knew how to do that. So we've been doing these daily meditations, and I started doing them, and I'm still doing them. So it's a dozen of them a week, 6 o'clock in the evening and 8 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of the folks who are here have been to one or more of the meditations. And last week, somebody came on the meditation and said there is this problem going on with the family. There's an illness and a difficulty. We didn't get into the problem at all. I said, okay, I can have you tell me what the problem is, but I know what the situation is. So what we did was a meditation and then a practical prayer, which, by the way, is a spiritual mind treatment with a new language about that. And the cool thing was that it landed. She was so grateful. That's exactly what I needed to hear. And it connected, even though I didn't know what the details were. I knew that she had a situation. She was facing the shadows. We did a process to turn around so we can face the light and invite the light into the situation. And it worked. So Jay's got a hand up. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can
Yes,
hear
I
you.
see my light came on. Okay, so I'm in a situation where our love languages clash. We love each other, but we can't seem to communicate with each other, even though we know we love each other. And every time we come to the table to like talk, the feeling comes out, but in the everyday, there's that friction of not understanding.
Hmm.
Because we're speaking two different languages and it gets distorted in the mix.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
It sounds to me as though there's enough bandwidth in your relationship that you can talk about the difference rather than just pound away at each other about you're not speaking my language. Is there room to talk about the situation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the metaphor. I don't speak Spanish, but if I have a Spanish word that I need to understand, I can look it up. There's a translating dictionary. So what the two of you need is a translating dictionary to say, oh, I'm speaking my language. Let's translate it into your language because this is what you would ask for, even though it's not something that I'm interested in. And just opening that possibility, oh, I could be saying something and it's not being understood. So how do I say it so it's understood? And once you learn how to do it, it's a relatively easy trick. I got some of those buttons at Christmas time for my dog because we wanted to prove, of course, how smart the dog is. And there are like 10 different buttons, so he can say things. So I press a button that says, treat, please. And he has another one that says, I'm hungry. And the I'm hungry button is green. And so I'll say, press the green button. And everybody that comes over to my house and sees, dogs are colorblind. You can't tell it's green. I said, I don't know what he's thinking, but the green button is always the green button. Whatever he sees to identify that button is fine because he's translating in his head what green means.
Mm.
And as long as you're willing to do that and be consistent about it, then it can work for you. Pam, go ahead.
Good morning. So great
Good
to see
morning.
everybody here this morning. I'm joining a leadership team at a local CSL, and I find that I'd like to go deeper in understanding one of the triggers that I have, which is triggered by the impression that I'm not being seen or heard, and that my opinion is disrespected. It's a trigger. I see it, and I'm ready to be done with it.
This is obviously not the first time this has happened for you. Is this a pattern that's been in your life before?
Yes.
Make friends with it.
Hmm.
Make friends with it, because you know what? Every time you go to a meeting, well, not every time, because if it were every time, then you'd be prepared for it. But often enough, when you go to a meeting, somebody's going to do something and it's going to trigger that. And you'll have all of those feelings that you had since the first time that you had it. And the metaphor for me, because I promised to do metaphors, is rocket launchers. You've seen, and we'll for the rocket launchers today, we'll do fireworks. So you've seen the spectacular fireworks displays where boom, and the sky is filled up with all this light and thunder and noise and so forth. So your trigger is launching the rockets. And you've probably also played the game Operation when you're a kid, where you try to use the tweezers to get the ham bone out or whatever. And when you miss, the buzzer goes off, and the guy's red nose lights up. Well, what I'm going to invite you to do is rewire your trigger so that it goes and has somebody's nose light up rather than launching the rockets. Because you don't need to have your rockets launched. You know what that feels like. You've been through that before. You still need to notice when it's happening so that you can say, oh, my buttons are being pushed. But it doesn't need to have the whole anxiety response anymore. So the metaphor is see what you can do to rewire the button. And you're not going to be able to change people from triggering you. And you can't change their behavior, right? So what you can do is change the way that you're responding to it. So see if that works. And I'm going to have to go get myself another operation game because I've used that metaphor a bunch as well. And I got to hear the
It
buzzer.
works. Everybody knows it.
Everybody knows that game. Yeah.
Everybody knows that game. Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, you start explaining quantum physics to people and it gets really complicated. And so if you can explain that without talking about quantum physics, then it winds up making it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Andrew, you're next.
Thanks, Pam.
What the situation that came to mind is something that came up this week where I've been dealing with my mother who lives 9 hours away, and she's been in assisted living and now memory care for a total of 11 plus years. It's been a long time. But she was recently taken off medication. There's concern that her swallowing is in question. So it's towards end of life with dementia, and just navigating that and like really understanding what that means, being prepared if one can be prepared, and yeah, all the things are coming to mind, and I'm just not sure what there is to do at this point, and like what to expect in the next steps. Yeah.
And you're an overachiever, so you want to do something.
Exactly.
Right? Because we're faced with a situation. It's like, let me do something. And that's always all around tough. is just to be present for the process. And maybe there's something you can do, and maybe there's not something you can do. But the metaphor is, and it's not even a metaphor. This is such a well-worn spiritual principle, is this is all about surrender and letting it go and not being attached to what the outcome's going to be and being present. So, and what I like to do is just tell my monkey mind to be quiet so that if the still small voice is suggesting there's something that I actually can do to help, that I'll hear it, and then follow that guidance. And I'm feeling for you, because that is a difficult situation to watch somebody who you've loved for your entire life go through that and not being able to do a darn thing about it. So, be present for it.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Andrea. Betty, you got your hand up now?
Yes, I do. I think you have, as an English teacher, you've taken metaphor to a new generation, a new era. And I love it. But
well, I gotta say, I did not do that well in literature, but I was an advertising copywriter. So I am completely happy starting a paragraph with the word "and."
Well, I won't argue with that. I actually want to say that if anyone asks me today, how do I feel on a scale of 1 to 25, is like I'm at a 30. And that's because I have spent a whole week under a vertigo attack. And these attacks have been happening so frequently here in Savannah. It only happened once in California, where I lived for 60 years. But then here, I don't know whether it's the place. Don't want to imply that, but it is. I have come out of a neurological quagmire. It is so, the dizziness of being out of control, imbalanced, vomiting, or just being feeling nausea continually. And yes, I've seen doctors, I've seen specialists, I've had MRIs, and so there was a vestibular specialist who asked me whether it has to do with me holding back thoughts that I don't express. I thought, oh, okay, I can work with you because you talk. anyway, I stopped. This is the lady at the scale of 30 with joy. It might come back, but I really need to know what I might be able to do to minimize these.
Okay. Yeah, and obviously you've tried all of the usual things that people do to get rid of vertigo, which I've had, fortunately, for relatively short periods of time, and learned to do the somersault maneuver. And now I'm a huge fan of that. But if you've been to MRIs and specialists, then you've been through that. And there's something else that's going on. I love the idea of getting something out that needs to be said or has been unsaid. And I'm having a tough time coming up with a metaphor here. My suspicion is it's not about Savannah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm also not going to do an ad for Savannah. The things that metaphorically will come up when somebody's dealing with a situation like that. And somebody comes up and comes down with a cold. It's like, well, I've really been running myself ragged. I haven't had a chance to rest. And they get a cold and they spend 3 or 4 days in bed. You're getting to spend a lot of time with your eyes closed.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's the disconnect between what your sense of balance is telling you is going on and what your eyes are telling you is going on. And the immediate relief from vertigo is to close your eyes. After an hour or two, that gets kind of boring. And I would guess that after a week or two, that gets really boring. And again, the same thing is to remind yourself that you can close your eyes to the current situation and open to a different possibility. And I don't know how quick that makes a change happen. But then again, that's none of my business. That's why it's a spiritual practice, right?
Yes, yes.
That's right. Well, thanks. You just added to the more holistic approach that I've decided to take with this, as opposed to um, um, medications that even the neurologists recommend. I'm thinking, darn it, I was okay, but now I'm vomiting a lot again. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, you
Yeah.
sure.
So, and I have no idea what's going on physiologically. So, and I'm not going to claim, oh, we can have a physiological change based on, some metaphorical thought. But I will join you in knowing that there is a solution possible, and it is revealed to you and to your caregivers. And one of my favorite things to do is to think about the caregivers and the doctors, and their ego. I had a surgical procedure a year and a half ago, and I told everybody on the team that I wanted the doctor to tell the story of how well this procedure went and what a rock star he is for doing such a good job. And they all kind of laughed and they all kind of bought in. And I wound up going home 3 hours earlier than they thought I was going to. So that sort of thing is possible. Thank you. And,
Thank you.
hearts are with you. Celeste Turkin, what you got?
Yes, sir. I have a situation in my life on Tuesday, and I'm hoping that I'm feeling that many people in this session may have had a similar one. We had a Zoom class, and thanks to the technology of the host using an old computer, she got frozen out of the session. Well, okay, I'm trying to step up as teacher's assistant, but the technical problem expanded so that I had no audio connection. So I said, okay, I know how to fix this. I'll come back in. I'll go out and come back in. Well, by the time I came back in, we had very few Indians and 4 chiefs in the class trying to run the class on their own program. And they didn't want to hear any input from me. The old disrespecting the assistant teacher, because I was never formally introduced to them as assistant teacher. Everyone had their own opinions and they wanted to express them.
Imagine.
Yes. So finally what I did was I said, I know how to handle this. I can leave the meeting. So I left the meeting and then texted Dr. Barbara, because none of this was her fault, because she was just trying to get back in. And so I talked to Jill, her daughter, and I said, the class is handling it themselves. And I said they're slowly dropping out because the people that couldn't get a word in edgewise just left the meeting following my lead, I think. And so I said, all right, obviously what I need to do is take a class in classroom management next.
Maybe. A friend of mine told a story about how when he was in high school, and he was using it to poo-poo public education. He said that he was in his high school physics class, and this big burly guy got into a fist fight with the teacher. And the teacher was dwarfed by the guy, but managed to de-escalate the situation. He says, "Why do I need to go and sit in a classroom and watch that? I'm here to learn physics." And I said, "You might have thought you were there to learn physics. You're there to learn how somebody cannot get beaten up and bring order back to a classroom." So whatever it is that you thought you were showing up to that class for, and whatever the students thought they were showing up for, everybody gets to learn something different.
Yes.
So again, it's the story of let's get unattached. Let's get a little unattached. And remember that you're a bright light, and the rest of it is just the decoration gets added onto that. So Pjae, I want to talk a second about the new language of new thought. And this is there's no coincidences except when they're all coincidences and stuff flows together that way. So I started out in religious science and I came through RSI, is what it was called then. And then I went to an Anton affiliated church and went all the way through practitioner training there. And then went back over to RSI as it became ICSL and was on the verge of merging back to make the single CSL. And one of the things that I noticed that was kind of weird was, and it was just weird to me, is that I could be in a CSL group and a couple of the old timers would be having a conversation in front of a newbie. And the conversation would be something like, oh, I was having such an issue, such a problem I was dealing with. So I went to a practitioner, I got a spiritual mind treatment, and I manifested a demonstration. And their friend will say, isn't that wonderful? And the newbie will say, what the hell are you talking about? And then and I've had other people who said that they heard the term spiritual mind treatment and they're thinking about somebody with a lab coat reaching into their brain and they didn't want to have to deal with that either. So I was pushing back against that idea and thinking, well, what can you call it instead of spiritual mind treatment and manifesting a demonstration? So you don't have to learn, you don't have to get a secret decoder ring to figure out what somebody's talking about. So I coined the term practical prayer, which is so simple and straightforward that when you say, I'm going to do a practical prayer, everybody goes, okay, that sounds reasonable. And then the reason that you do it is for a result or a real result. So we call them practical prayers. And when they work, that's a result. And it was so straightforward. I wrote a book about it. I actually wanted to find a book about how to do a succinct book about how to do spiritual mind treatment. With examples, and there wasn't one. There was a great little pamphlet that Raymond Charles Barker wrote, which is what I used to get started, but it wasn't quite enough. And so I wrote Practical Prayer for Real Results, and that's the new language of New Thought. And I thought, well, isn't that wonderful? And that was my first book, and it came out in, I think, 2011 or 2012. And it's still on Amazon. There's that argument about whether an effective prayer is 5 steps or 7 steps. So we didn't number them. I got my friend Dave to make little icons so that each of the steps is an icon, because if you can do the prayer in 1 step, then just do 1. That's how Jesus did it. Okay, I'm not there. Most of the time I can't do a single step prayer, so I need to do 5. And it seems to be going along really well until I get to the 3rd step and I realize that I don't believe what I'm claiming in my affirmation. And I'm going to take another 2 steps to refute the appearance or the doubt that I'm having here. And so that's what Practical Prayer for Real Results is about. So I kind of started on this new language of New Thought, and 1,000 books are out in the world, and some people are starting to use the language, and it's wonderful. And shameless plug, I'm doing a Practical Prayer workshop on April 4th. Kind of test driving the system on the Anton website where you can pay to publish your events, and it's on there. If you're interested in coming, you can sign up there. And the idea is to make this language more accessible. And that's what I was thinking about when I thought of this. That was what I was thinking about before I was excused from the CSL merger and got to start my own ministry. And then Angelo and Stella Pizzello retired. And they needed somebody else to run the Emerson New Thought Center, which is the church that runs Emerson Institute, which is where I'm credentialed, and a lot of us are credentialed. And Ruth Miller is the provost of the Emerson Institute, and she and her team have been doing a lot of work to take the teaching and the education that's coming through Emerson Institute and make it more broadly applicable to the New Thought movement. And it turns out that there are only a few groups that have practitioners who are trained and credentialed to do essentially healing prayer on behalf of other people. Everybody does it. Everybody in the world does it. Every religion does prayer for other people. It's just that practitioners are specifically trained on how to do it as a professional service for other people. And so I find myself on the board of trustees for the Emerson New Thought Center as we're talking about how we can bring this technique out to the other branches of New Thought that don't have practitioners. And I find myself sitting here with a book that relanguages how to do a spiritual mind treatment in regular language. So show that one off as well. So that's Practical Prayer for Real Results, which is also available for you on Amazon. So these are coincidences that keep on showing up in my life, and I love that they do. I'm going to read another daily spark. I'm just going to open up to tipping point. Let's consider a tipping point. That's where we go from the way things have been before to the new way things are now. The tipping point happens all the time in many different areas of our life. What we want to pay attention to is that when we're working on something, when we're putting an effort or focusing our energy on bringing something about, it can seem like a lot of work. A lot of people think it's a struggle. What we're doing, in fact, is putting the pieces together. We are doing the work to lift the roller coaster car up to the top of the first hill and knowing that there's an exciting ride that's about to start. So what is your next tipping point? I'll take a breath and let PJ. Actually, I asked you if you had something that you want to do a metaphor about half an hour ago.
Yeah, I know. My eyes went, what?
What?
He's calling me. So you're asking what's the tipping point for me?
Or what's something that you want to bring into the conversation?
Well, one of the things as a minister, and even before I was a minister, I'm just the kind of person that butts into people's lives, and they, just they they have a question, and I think I have an answer, so I just go ahead and talk. But what I've discovered for myself is that, and this is what I share. I'm just sharing with. I don't know if this has a point for any of you, but I'm just going to speak it anyway. What I've discovered for myself is that I have to every single day, every morning before I even put my foot on the floor, is reconnect, just consciously reconnect and know who I am, that I am God in individualized expression. And so when I'm putting a prayer out, I'm actually telling myself, listen, you already know what to do. So just go ahead and do that. So what happens is I remind myself all the time and I talk to my members of my group, my congregation, and they're ad nauseum, they're probably sick of it, that I'm always talking about what are your I mean, you probably have a lot of values, but I just stick to 5 because I feel like your top 5 should encompass everything that you who you are. And so that's in my mind, my top 5 values. And the first one is my relationship with spirit. I can't do anything else. That's just who I am. I can't do anything else unless I know I'm connected. That's number 1. And then, just knowing what matters to me, that I love everybody unconditionally. And then friends and family and friends. That's my top 5. So whenever I'm out and about, and because I'm a human being, because we all are, someone will cut me off in traffic, and that's and that's the thing I think I say to myself is, well, what makes you think they cut you off? They weren't thinking about you, so it's not about you. So what is your role in this? So it's always that there's a constant reconnection with the spirit that I say I am and the spirit that I say everyone else is. So if that's true, and it is, then there's nothing that's happening to me. Everything is happening for me. I get to say how I think about it. It isn't about the other person, what they're doing. What am I doing? And if I believe that I am an individualized expression, then I'm always looking at the God in me and the God in you, the God in everyone that I'm dealing with. That just simply makes my life a beautiful thing. It just makes life a beautiful thing. And I think that's the bottom line of what we're talking about in New Thought. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's what gets me through the day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And you're reminding me, there are so many lessons to be learned from traffic and other drivers.
Gosh.
One of my
I don't even
teachers.
need to go on Sunday morning when all I got to do is drive. Yeah.
One of my teachers gave me a spectacular lesson about this, and actually he's here is Ian Taylor. And this was back, I think, in the good old days when Ian was in the chemical sales industry. And he was also teaching at various spiritual communities from New York to Wilmington, Delaware. And he spent a lot of time driving around. And every once in a while, I'd be having a difficulty with, getting, because I was driving back and forth to New Jersey from Pennsylvania on a daily basis. And so somebody would be having a difficulty with always having somebody cut them off and always have people, with road rage and all the rest of that. And Ian said, you're not going to stop the idiot drivers. When you do the prayer, though, they'll be somewhere else. I would like it if everybody would behave themselves, but if they're going to misbehave, do it where I don't have to deal with it. And it got remarkably easier. One of my practitioner students had huge problems with road rage and people doing stupid stuff. And as he went through the practitioner class, he got calmer and calmer. And now the idiot drivers aren't around him anymore. He sometimes sees them annoying other people, but it's not annoying him. So that's, yeah. So we don't have to change the world. We just need to change where we are with it.
Exactly.
Paul Hoyt.
Yeah, Bill. I don't know if you coined the phrase, but you coined it for me. It's all an inside job.
Mm.
And I've truly taken that to heart now, that everything is over here, that nothing is out there, that if I want to have anything to do with anything, it's over here. The only thing I can do is what's going on over here in any given situation. And it's been huge for me. It has just transformed my life. So, and you've always supported me and you've always been there for me. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, the metaphor that brings up for me is it's possible to go into the park or the forest and be completely by yourself. So there's nobody else there. You look all around 360 degrees, there's nobody there. There's just, 30 trees. It's completely possible there's somebody standing behind every one of those trees. And all you need to do is move a little bit, and suddenly you go from being alone to 30 people around you. And the interesting thing is that what changes is not the 30 people. They were already there. And so were the trees. And so were you. What changes is your perspective and the way that you're looking at it. And that's the aha for me.
Yes.
Is that things change based on the way that you look at them.
Yes.
So, yeah. And if we always remember that we're doing the looking and that we're participating in this, it's all an inside job. You want another metaphor? It's the weather vane. You've seen weather vanes, the thing with the northeast, west, and south, and the spinner that tells you which direction the wind is coming from. And they work very well. They will tell you exactly which direction the wind is coming from. The weather vane never considers that the wind is coming from the weather vane. It never says, oh, it's me. And there are situations, I'm sure none of us have done it. I never do that.
No.
But I know people who are so busy pointing to the direction that the problem's coming from and what else it is that's outside of them that must be to blame, that they lose sight of the possibility that it could be them.
Yeah. And that's where the power is, actually. That's where the power is. Mm-hmm.
We do counseling with people and say, I keep having these relationships where it starts out wonderful and then he turns out to be a jerk. It's like, well, what's the one thing all those relationships have in common is you. So maybe we can stop looking at the guys you're in relationships with and see maybe there's something different to be done.
Yes.
Rita, got your hand up?
Okay. You were talking about tipping points. And so the last, I don't know how long, but there's been a lot of kind of like feelings of dissatisfaction of where I'm at, and knowing that Ernest Holmes once wrote, if, stay where you're at, truth gathering its own speed will, lift you up and place you where you need to be. Anyway, so I'm like nervous just saying this. So Patrick and I have very unconventional backgrounds, and how we were brought up and separately, and then coming together, and then now building a center after 13 years we've been here. So I've written a piece. This is my tipping point. I wrote a book that was very revealing, and Patrick also did, but now I'm writing a play that is going to bring both those books together and really put us out there. And it's just, I feel like it's like really, it's pushing me to a tipping point. Like, I don't know what's going to happen when we do this, but it almost feels like I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel the urge that I have to do this now. And I've not always been the type of person who is truthful, like totally truthful, but also showing that how this teaching has helped me to go through things that maybe weren't real, I don't know what the word is, but that's, I'm a writer and I don't know what the word is, but just, went through all these twists and turns in my life, and I'm not afraid to like reveal those, but it's scary. So this is my tipping point, and we're going to do this, and we don't know. It's called You Have No Idea, Neither Did We, is the name of the piece.
I love it.
Okay. And, it'll be about building a center and two people coming together from crazy backgrounds. So anyway, I just want to put it out there because it's scary. And I figure if I say it, it'll be a good thing to say. Anyway, for me. So
Congratulations.
Thank you for listening. So now that I've said it, it has to happen. So
yeah. And
I
something's
love that. Yeah. Let's put it out there.
something's already happening. Something
Right.
is already happening, even though
Yeah.
we don't know what it is and there's not a result yet. And, it could be one of those situations where, 1,000 people see your play and then nothing happens.
Right.
Or that you do it once and you say, well, I got that in my system. And 6 years later, somebody comes and says, that was transformational for me. And, of course, it's the slow reveal. Why does it take 6 years for you to understand the value that you've brought into the world? But that's why when the little voice says, do the play, do the play.
Do the play. Right.
Do the play.
Do the play. Rita, and let us know so we can come take a look at it or figure out how we can support you in that, please.
Yeah.
And that's a title. I want to say that's a title that I would definitely attend. Just the title alone will pull me in.
Exactly.
So
yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. So Patricia had a question. How do we sign up for the April 4th workshop? And I'm not going to go looking at websites right now, but it should be on the member events on the Anton website. You go through there and you can click through on the link. And Michelle, if you would go take a look at that, or somebody, and just say, yeah, it's actually working, that'd be great. You can also go to newthoughtphilly.org, and it's listed on the homepage there, and you can click through.
that's where I found it. I'm not a member of Anton, so
You don't need
maybe
to be a
that's why.
member.
You don't
I
have to
can-
remember to get on the website. No.
Yeah, but I couldn't find it on Anton, but I did find it on Philly. So
Okay. Well, you got the inside track, Jay.
And Bill, just to be clear, so your website is NEWTHOUGHT or NT?
New Thought.
It's just
spelled out.
spelled out. Okay.
And
it's
you can
still
put
Philly
in Philly or Philadelphia.
or
It'll both
Philadelphia,
get
either
you
way.
there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So
Yeah,
I'll
they
put
will
that.
both get you there.
Thank you. Patricia, did you speak?
I shouldn't speak yet, but
Okay, very good.
it's your turn. We answered one of your questions.
Yes, thank you for that. Well, I just wanted to mention I'm at a tipping point myself, and I'm putting together an 8-week coaching course called Embodying the Divine Two-Step, Heaven on Earth Begins Within. And within this 8-week course, it will introduce the 3 messages from Spirit, the 2 Doors Vision, Looking for Light, and the Christ Chalice, and explain what those are about, support people in embodiment of the practices that Spirit has brought us, and also support them in embodying this divine 2-step practice, which I believe is totally transformational, and it's all an inside job. And so I'm offering that June 9th on Tuesdays, June 9th through July 28th at noon and at 8 p.m. Eastern time, so that it can have a global reach. So I would love for Anton to be a part of this first viewing.
You're here, and there it is, and there we are.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Could you drop that in the chat, Patricia?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
There's a lot of information in the chat right now, so if you guys want to take a look at that and just grab some of that information out there before you leave, there's some great things in there. So thanks all of you.
I joke sometimes that I keep on changing hats because I'm the Anton administrator and I'm, on the Emerson board and a local minister and that or the other thing. And so I'm going to point out that Michelle got the link for the web page while she was logged in as an administrator. So that's a system page and you need to log out so you can get the public page. And why do I know that? I think
I'll fix it. I'll log out and come back in and send you the proper link. So ignore that. Thank you, Bill, for pointing that out. You're the best.
I'm pretty sure it's anton.org/member events. Yeah, there it is. Andrea found it. Member events capitalized.
It takes a village. Thank you all.
It does. What a blessing. Neil Pinkman, great to see you. He's, by the way, the newest member of the affiliated New Thought Network.
Nice.
Yeah, I keep joining from different angles.
Well, you're not new, but yeah.
No, I just on a personal note, I just want to say thank you. Many people know the challenges that Michelle and I are going through, and the response from Anton folks has been fantastic. The love, the caring, the cards. It's really, really appreciated. So my point is just to say thank you very much. Love you guys.
Bless you. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're here. And for whatever contribution we've made, you're welcome.
And I'll find another way to join. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, it's like the hokey pokey. Put this foot in, you put this foot back out. Celeste, you got one more?
Yes, I do. I wanted to mention, in case if you go to the chat and you're looking at all this stuff, there's 3 dots at the top in the right-hand corner. And if you click on those 3 dots, it'll save the entire chat for you in a data set, and then you can look at it later.
Okay. Very nice. Thank you.
See,
Save
you didn't
the chat. Look at you. All right.
Because I put a big long tirade in there about the new version of Raymond Charles Barker's book, The Power of Decision. So you can all read that later and get a chuckle out of it if you want to.
Okay. And Celeste, in case you don't know, has a connection because that was Raymond Charles Barker's church was the first one that she went to, as it was first the New Thought church when she grew up on Long Island.
Long Island. Okay.
Long Island.
Long Island.
I grew up in North Jersey, so I say Long Island.
Just point out that if you're going to save the thing, save it just at the end, because it saves up till now, and then now, and then now.
Right.
Very good.
I don't want to give away the surprise, but at the end, Steve is going to share a picture of pastries or some such. So when we get to that, that's the time to save it.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you, Buffy. Kit?
Hey, hi, Bill. Just want to say thank you for, I don't remember how you started it off saying about how many different careers you've had, but I wanted to say thank you for saying that. That resonated with me because I have done the same, and I also recognize that every single one of them is contributing to me as a minister because I can do story or I can do metaphor or I can say, have this experience. And my tipping point right now is that all of those things, those skill sets, I know I'm on the verge of the thing, but the thing is at the moment seems to be requiring a whole lot of back of the house kind of work. And from day to day, it's like, yes, that's on the list, needs to be done. So, and then, by the end of the day, it's like, I'm also a recovering perfectionist. So I give myself a lot of grace and leeway these days. But any metaphor to, the allowing is, what's the thing? The thing is music. Okay, great. And, for me, it's like, which direction? So any metaphor you might want to toss in about that at the moment, I'd really appreciate.
Yeah, what's coming up for me right now is not a metaphor, but it's a practice. And the practice, interestingly, we rarely hear a New Thought minister talk about this, is resistance. If you get an idea that there's something for you to do to bring your music into the world, try not doing it.
Ooh.
See what happens if you don't do it. Because your monkey mind will tell you dozens and dozens of things that you should do.
Yeah.
And you can spend a lot of time doing those things, and they'll probably help. But if those are distracting you from the main mission and you don't do them, then you're available for the main mission. Because, and here's the metaphor, if it's your calling, if it's the still small voice of God, and you let it go to voicemail, it'll call back. It will call again and again and again. So,
yes.
Yeah. So, and that's something that's a lot of times is difficult for us to say, oh, this is a brilliant idea. Let me try not doing that.
Already, my mind just went, what?
How can I do that?
Okay. Thank you.
And the process that I went through for publishing the Daily Spark book, it's 366 entries, and it was compiled over the course of years and years and years. So which are the good ones? I don't know. It's like deciding which of your kids you love the best, and how do I edit the language? Because they were all started out being live recordings. I just record them and then I publish them. And that's spoken language rather than written language. I need to tweak it and clean it up, but I need it to still sound like me. So there's a lot of that monkey nonsense going on. Yeah. And then it got into typesetting the book and the launch process for the book. And I'm still having this discussion with the people at Ingram Spark about how my book is actually going to get produced. And so there's a lot of minutia and a lot of details. And every once in a while, something was mine to do. And leading up to last weekend when the book launched, okay, these got to get taken care of now. But they were able to stay away for the last year or two or three.
Great.
I'm going to read one more.
Just one thing I want to add to that, kid, is just give yourself some grace. All of us, as we're going through whatever it is we're going through, just give yourself some grace. Same thing you would tell any of your members. Give yourself some grace. It's going to happen. There's no time frame. Why do we put a time frame on stuff? It is what it is, and it happens when it's ready to happen. So give yourself some grace through the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Breathe out. So this is from April 2nd, Joy or Sorrow. In one of his songs, my friend Lou Doty has a great lyric which goes, what we don't learn today, we learn tomorrow, but we don't learn from joy, we learn from sorrow. And it's so true. We're going to learn the lesson sooner or later. Instead of resisting, instead of pushing it away, instead of thinking that we already have the answer, we can open to a new possibility. When we let go of what we think we know, we are open to that lesson in a way that can be clear, prompt, and enjoyable.
Yes. Beautiful.
I'm going to stop talking now because the producer side of me says that PJ's got 2 minutes left.
Paul, you got something real quick you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to thank Bill for the years and years and years of God calls. I love them. I've got many of them saved on my voicemail. I have to keep changing them. But thank you. And I'm looking forward to the book. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I also, some friends of mine had Substacks, so I signed up for Substack so I could read their things. And the Substack folks said, would you like to have a Substack? And I said, okay. And a bunch of people subscribed. And what am I going to do with a Substack? And then it turns out I have these messages for every day for a whole year. So those are going into my Substack. And you can find me on Substack and see the book one revealing page at a time.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. You're right, we got another minute. So we're here every last final Thursday.
Yep.
I would say the fourth is the final Thursday of the month. Okay,
Yep.
So same time. So really great to have you here. I don't know what else I want to tell you. Whatever you need to know is on the website. So Anton.org, take a look at that, see what the next TLT is and what are we going to do. Just thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Bill. It's always great. I love listening to you, talking with you. You're just amazing. So thanks for being here today. Thank you all for being here today. And
we got lots and lots of stuff that's going on, but there's one thing that I really need to highlight for everybody.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and
this is all for you, Bill.
Yeah. Thank you. And don't steal my thunder because I'm going to announce the featured keynote at the Anton Retreat this year.
Yeah.
Mike Dooley. is going to be on our stage. It's the first time he's done somebody else's event since 2019, and that is going to be spectacular. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you soon.
You're all right, Bill.
Love you guys.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Love you all. Thank you.
Thank you all.